Test, test, test. Let's see what we get. We'll clip that out. All right, we got sound. All right, fantastic. Hey guys, welcome to the third iteration, 3 times now, of the Battlefeed podcast. I want to appreciate every one of you that are coming out. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're watching on Twitch or Mixer. Welcome either way. On this podcast, we talk about anything relevant to FPS gaming, and then some of the other things outside of that. What's coming, what's going on with games that we're individually playing, and even some community issues that arise, or what we're concerned about, or what maybe you're concerned about. Obviously, tonight, we're talking about one thing. We're talking about Battlefield 5. Now in full Technicolor World War II and some other stuff with it. So we'll talk about the hype. We're going to talk about the BS. And we're going to talk about all sorts of things that you guys want to know. And we want to hear what you guys want to talk about as well, too, so we can respond to that. We've got Punisher behind the scenes pushing buttons, because as he does, he's one of the masters. Definitely check him out on YouTube if you don't want to do anything about like YouTube and streaming. That guy's like a genius. We've got off-camera, camera-less kickstand, making faces we can't see tonight. Unfortunately, he's in the process of building his house and moving. He can't get his camera up, but that's okay. We still love him anyway. And then my name's Deity. Some of you guys know me, some of you don't. Doesn't really matter. I just talk a lot. We've got a super special guest tonight right here. Check this out. So we have the artist formerly known as Necrosaurus Rex, Necro. So welcome him. Everybody give some hype for Necro in the chat, please. And Necro, dude, the floor is yours. Tell us who you are and what you're about.
Hi guys, my name is Necro. I stream on Twitch. I've been doing it for 2 years, and I main the Battlefield series. I started my channel with Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 4, and with the release of Battlefield 1, we've grown, and we are looking very much so forward to the next game, and that's why I'm here today to discuss it with these fine gentlemen. I've been playing Battlefield since the day it was released, Battlefield 1942, back in 2002. I'm very much so a veteran in the series, and I've enjoyed all of it. I love every little bit of it, and I am very, very excited for the future and all of this.
Absolutely. I'm from 1942 back to 1940 something. This is pretty monumental for these guys to actually take on. And if you watch the live stream, or if you're part of the Game Changers part, Lars Gustafsson really put a whole lot of energy into talking about how much they wanted to own the original, go back, take it back, do something different with it. So lots to talk about. I guess we can start off with your thoughts right now on the reveal, on how that went down on the game, what you saw, what you are considering, things you got maybe from the Game Changer part that we went to. Anything relevant that you want to come out with, just what was your first impression and what's your impression now? That's probably a good way to do it.
The first thing that I noticed was the character movement. I didn't know if it was going to be something that was specific to the trailer until it was mentioned in the behind the scenes thing, where they said there was full 360-degree motion while standing, crouching, and in prone. And instantly was thoroughly impressed, because who doesn't love that idea? Being able to dive through windows, land on your back, and shoot someone point blank with a sniper rifle with a lucky no-scope hit is just so gratifying. So being able to kind of reenact that idea of the trailer is just something I'm looking forward to doing. That was the very first thing that caught my attention. After that, I noticed the little Easter egg there with the theme music and the car there with the AA going off right next to it with the beat, and that was just, I got chills thinking back to the original Battlefield games and how they have that little memory in there, and they stick that out there for the people that are still with the franchise today. And that's something that you don't really get that in a whole lot of franchises that have been around this long, paying homage to themselves and the community that's been involved ever since. That's something that will forever speak to me personally, and that's why one of the biggest reasons I love the trailer was simply that little 4 second part is just spoke worlds to me.
Absolutely. Just a little comment on that too. One of the things that I know we've commented on before, and for Battlefield, but just for other games, developers love their games, and developers have a great relationship, usually even across games and across the studios. You hear all the time about how they're all appreciative of when somebody has a release and a good release. You see, Battlefield guys saying, COD, good luck and all that stuff. And it's really neat to see. But this was interesting. What you just said about them going back and paying homage to themselves for 1942 and going all the way back. They're not just paying homage to themselves. Lars Gustafsson is not just saying, "Whoo, I did this and it's still here and it's awesome." What they're also doing is everybody who worked on that game and every game, from then, everybody who was a part of that is paying homage to them too, which I think is super cool in the industry for them to, because there might be somebody who's a dev somewhere else right now saying, "Man, I worked on that," and they're going back to that. I listened to that song 100 times. So just to throw that out there, Kickstand, before we started this, you made a comment and you were talking about the level of hype you had. So same question to you, but also talk about your hype. So what was your first reaction? What was your reaction, after thinking about it? And then tell us about your hype.
My hype is it's at like an 11 right now. This is by far the most excited I've been for a new Battlefield, like I said before, since Battlefield 3, because Battlefield 3 was kind of after of course I'm gonna stumble on the friggin' what was Bad Company 1 and 2. After Bad Company 1 and 2, Battlefield 3 kind of put it back on track to, the original Battlefield series, larger maps, vehicles, stuff like that. I'm beyond pumped. I'm very pumped. Some of the stuff that they've not so much that they've revealed, but other outlets have talked about, have me very excited. It's got me very pumped. I'm looking forward to it.
11 out of 10 or 11 out of 5?
11 out. Ooh, that's twice the hype. That's twice the hype.
Twice the hype.
As far as the trailer went, I thought the trailer was great. I think everyone, the problem that EA and DICE had was Battlefield 1's reveal trailer was the most viewed and liked video game trailer of all time. So right away, people are setting their bar at like the epitome of multimedia game reveals. And I don't think you're going to catch lightning in a bottle twice, not especially on the next game. I kind of like the direction they took, where it was cinematic right into gameplay. I thought it was good. Like Necro said, there was a lot of little Easter eggs in there for throwback Battlefield fans, that weren't just about like the music was cool, but just like he was bringing up the movement. They showed a little bit of everything in that 2.5 minutes. They crammed a lot. There was a lot going on that screen. So I thought it was pretty good. I know a lot of people were they had mixed feelings about it, but for what it was, for just, hey, this is what we've been working on, this is what it looks like, here it is, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think you guys have both said it, and I'll reiterate. This is how I'll explain it. If you watch that one time and you react and you stick with that reaction, I think that you're missing something. You really need to watch that thing several times. There's so much going on in that reveal trailer. There's so much actual gameplay, things that they brought out and talked about, but it happened so quickly. So the more you watch it, the more you see, and the more you're like, wait, no, that just happened. Oh, I missed that. And I've done it, I don't know, probably 30 times I've watched that trailer, especially with all the songs that are going around Twitter right now, which is pretty fun. But I guess the key thing here is, did it hit the way it needed to hit when it needed to hit? In my opinion, personally, the way that I'm looking at it, they should have blown the trailer up first, right before they started any reveal whatsoever, and just went nuts with it and put a little sound behind it, put some great music. We had what do you call it, Seven Nation Army last time to blow this up, right? But do this and then go in to talk about all the cool things that have changed, and then reflect and then show it again. So I think the delivery was a little off. What do you think, Necro?
It kind of breaks into the whole reveal event. On Twitch and YouTube, they showed, they had Trevor Noah hosting, asking a couple questions, getting the excitement from the developers and the producers themselves, and then they went into the trailer itself. And then seemingly moments after the trailer was played, they ended the stream. And this is a rant I had the day after. I'm not going to get too deep into that because I don't want anyone that works on the game to be offended, because it's not their fault. But there was mass confusion, and everyone thought the game was going in a different direction than what it actually is, going back to a more hardcore FPS style thing. But the idea that, it was the rest of the explanation of everything going on, doing a small trailer breakdown, talking about more in-depth things that we saw in the trailer, was only on Mixer. I have nothing but respect for Mixer. You know, they're growing very rapidly, and lots of great streamers are on the platform. But the fact of the matter is, it is a small platform compared to Twitch and YouTube. And Twitch itself is tiny compared to YouTube. After looking at the viewership numbers for this entire event, and so it kind of went sideways immediately because so many, literally millions of people were left confused, not knowing what was going on. But that being said, after taking a couple days and explaining everything, talking about the new elements, talking about the return of old elements, talking about the adjustments to elements that was all viewed in the trailer, people are happy again. They're going back and watching the trailer after the explanation, after watching people like Westy and Jack Fragg's videos, after tuning into streams like myself, Prophet, Deity. You're just kind of getting all the information. They understand the trailer, and now they're all really excited. So I think, you know, the reveal, it's 50-50. The trailer was great, but it caused mass confusion. But after the explanation was there, after everyone learned what was going on, everyone's in love. Everyone cannot wait. The hype is real. Very, very real.
Kick, reveal for you.
I Necro kind of hit the nail on the head for me. It wasn't very informative. I thought the presentation was great. But when they showed the trailer and they ended it, you're kind of left your head scratching like, okay, they didn't get into the nuts and bolts of it. And considering some of the massive changes they're making for this game, I think it would have behooved them greatly to make sure that the audience knew exactly what was coming down the pipeline. And it was very weird that we had to go to alternate sources, and even like Jack Frags mentioned it on Twitter. He's like, they have all this great stuff they're working on. I don't know why they didn't tell you guys about it, but here it is. Like, it's very weird that we had to go to alternate sources to find that stuff out.
And don't get me wrong, and I don't think anybody who was there for the iterations that were the game changer iterations that were the day and evening before, super excited to be a part of that and to kind of ask some questions and kind of get some more feedback so that we could give more information out. However, now in retrospect, and please invite me to cool things, Dice and EA, I love them. But now that in retrospect, I think that if they would have taken that section from Daniel Berlin when we were watching, he talked for an hour and some odd minutes about, when you talk about passion and what they've done and what they've changed and his explanations, they need to take that recording that we watched the morning before and then blast that out. Bleep the curse words if you got to bleep them, but I don't even care if you do or not. But the way that he explained things, that's where my hype came from. So when I heard some things coming from people, I was like, dude, what are you? Did you watch the same trailer? Are you thinking about the same game that I'm thinking about? Because this was, but they didn't have that, and we were supposed to deliver it. So, Yakub Ajmal, I think is his name. He's a developer up in Sweden. Some of you guys follow him on Twitter. He made a comment, little snippet from Reddit, and it was a really negative feel comment. Obviously, Reddit's kind of rough, but he said, I think in a few weeks after EA Play, Reddit's going to do a 180 on this game.
Agreed.
And I think that that's true because the more people see the gameplay and the more people feel like, and the more people see other people's, jazzness about this whole thing coming out, I think that's, that it just wins. I just think that we need to have more of that. So, but that Daniel Berlin clip, man, EA, if you're watching, dude, take the Daniel Berlin clip from the one we watched the morning before, show that to everybody, give it to them. It was fantastic. Anything else you guys want to talk about the reveal in terms of how that went down? Because if not, we can just get right into things that are, gameplay oriented, like what's actually changing.
Sounds good to me. I think it was pretty straightforward. So.
Yeah.
First thing to talk about is fortifications. And I'm going to say one thing before I ask you guys what you guys think about it. And then I'm going to say there's nothing Fortnite about what I saw.
Not at all.
There's nothing for it. So you cannot go in the middle of a field and build a fort and then defend it for the rest of the game. That's not how this works. You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
Thankfully.
Yeah. It's as it was explained to us, it's predetermined building, meaning everyone can build. I believe the support class will be able to build faster, and they'll have additional options for adding offensive, defensive capabilities, if that makes sense, like machine guns and such like that. But the idea is it's to bolster captured objectives in case, the Frostbite engine, it has destructibility. Houses, walls, they're all going to get blown up. People are throwing grenades, they're using explosives. Things are going to fall apart, as is the way of Battlefield. But this idea is to allow a defending side of the objective kind of have something to hide behind instead of getting that well, we're going to lose this because there's nothing to hide behind and the enemy is coming in a really big wave. This actually offers a different type of gameplay where the person that enjoys defending, or if you want to go as far as say the camper, will have a little bit more extra fortifications to kind of combat the offensive side with.
I think it's an awesome game mechanic that dangles a carrot in front of a subset of players that like defending flags, because I think defending flags was a huge omission in Battlefield 1.
Yes.
And I think that's why you were literally just doing flag marathons, and it never really felt like a tug of war, which Conquest is always supposed to feel like a head-to-head tug of war. You're supposed to slowly cap those gimme flags, get to the central flag, and then that's where your main battles usually take place. Now that you have people that are hopefully going to be, it also depends. I wonder how the point system is going to work for them too. Like, are you rewarded for building them, repairing them, staying on them? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a really cool mechanic.
I got, just like what you're talking about right there, I got the feeling of a squad saying, come get my Charlie flag.
Exactly.
Come get it. I'm not even going to move. I own this. You need it.
I don't necessarily see these being thrown on like A and F flag, but like, you know, on those central flags like C and B, where D is the middle flag, those could be huge because they could defend your flags from flanks. It's going to be massive. I think it's really going to change the pace of Conquest, which is something it's needed.
It's going to add depth to the game. It's that middle of the map back and forth frontline fight on Conquest mode, or if you can do it on Breakthrough, being able to make it so you're able to actually have a legitimate defense is going to go so far. It's going to actually, in my experience playing operations in Battlefield 1 right now, a lot of people every round will switch to the attacking side because the attacking side often doesn't have to worry about, you know, fortifications or, you know, walls falling apart because they're constantly pushing forward. They're the attacking side. So this thrown in the mix is going to make it so people actually want to defend. They're going to have tools to use to make themselves feel successful, and they're going to be able to actually give a better fight. And I think that's amazing. The amount of depth being added by such a simple system is very, very cool.
Sorry, I'm gonna, one little quick thing I forgot to do here, totally unprofessional, was host this up on my own channel, so sorry about that, guys. Maybe you haven't done it yet. I might not be the only one, but I made sure I did. I had to make sure I got that out. So I do have concerns, and I think that we can talk about them as we talk about the other things too, you know, which is the balance and how do these things work, and building a fortification that automatically has an MG on it or something like that. We talked a little bit about how those might be employed or overemployed. But so those types of things, though, I have a hard time thinking about or commenting on until I put my hands on the game. And I think until people see how that works in, you know, a 64 player, or I think it's going to be 64 player. That's my understanding, is 64 Conquest, 64 Grand Operations. Until we see that play out, we really can't talk about the balance. If this game is complete, if it comes out with things like this that are just game breaking, we're going to know. DICE isn't going to let it release with something that's, you know, not going to, you know, live up to the expectations of what we're talking about. So I'm not too worried about those things. But the attrition system is something that I think everybody is super interested in, because this is going to force so much play style change in every single gamer. You are not going to spawn with a billion rounds of ammunition and say, I don't need a support, I'm good. You're not going to need that's gone. That is totally gone. This is going to change. We talked about ammo 2.0 for Battlefield 1, if you guys remember back to that whole discussion. I don't want to call it a debacle. You know, you got two sides of every camp. But this is a game changer right here. This is, you got to pick ammo up. You've got to, you know, you got to grab and get health. All of those things are like really interesting concepts that we've seen a little bit in Hardline, you know, with the grabbing of the ammo. We saw a little bit of, I think, needing with the new ammo situation in BF1, like needing some support to be on the points and things like that. What do you guys think about how different this is and how it's going to affect your play styles individually?
It's going to change the aggressive player. People like me that spawn in on support or assault or scout, whatever I choose to play the round with, I always go immediately for the closest objective and destroy everything. It's what I do. It's what I'm good at. That being said, I'm not going to be able to do that as easily. It's going to offer, again, another level of depth. It's going to make the world more interactive. You're actually forced to be aware of your surroundings instead of just charging in gung-ho, just blasting everything down Rambo style. It's going to be something that not being able to throw grenades the minute you spawn in, that could be a big game changer. Everyone complains about grenade spam. Everyone in Battlefield 1, even the most hardcore Battlefield 1 lover, hates the grenade spam. It's something that has gone to a point where people are leaving the game and then coming back and seeing if it changes. And if it doesn't, then they go back again. So it's something in this game, or should they be able to reduce explosives in general, is going to keep players involved more because they're more interested in that gunplay. And so they actually have to work for more of that. And I think that's beautiful all in itself. Just that idea by itself.
Ditto. I think there's a common theme with a lot of changes we're seeing for BF5 that have me very excited, and they all revolve around team play. Like people aren't going to be able to treat Conquest as 64 player Slayer team deathmatch games anymore. Like it's really going to switch up. You're going to have to work with your teammates for better or for worse. That's what's going to differentiate the outcomes of these rounds. Is you've got to play with 31 other players on your team. How are you going to interact? Are you going to support each other? Or are you just going to run and gun? So I'm very excited for attrition. Anything that makes you rely on somebody else, I think, makes Battlefield a better game. Separates it from other games.
Agreed.
So.
Oh, well, it just makes more fun. You got to play with somebody. I mean, every game, I mean, you play through a campaign, and that's something that you enjoy on your own. You know, campaign games. You play a TDM game, and you can enjoy that on your own. This game is meant to be. It's always meant to be played with this. That's why you have a squad. You don't just have a squad just because it's fun to see 5 other names there, 3 other names there. That's not why it's there. It's there because it's meant to create, you know, it's part of the whole community thing that I love about Battlefield. It's like it forces people to come and play together, even if they don't know each other. Now, I think this is going to, like Kickstand saying, like make that happen on a more, like you kind of got to do that. They did mention, and I want to just make this point, and I think you guys heard it too. Yeah, if you want to go play as a Rambo solo Joe, that's possible, but it's not going to be preferable. You're going to find yourself really starved on a couple of different elements, especially not being able to get back to full health quickly, especially not being able to, you know, reload without finding something on the battlefield that you have to go to someone else to get, or kill or conquer, that type of thing. So I think that the solo style is going to exist because you're always going to have solo style, but you're going to really be forced to, even if you don't even care about the guys on your team, you're going to be forced to be near them. You're going to be forced to be stuck closer to them on an advance, on a defense. You know, bat caps are going to get interesting. Bat caps usually happen with solo guys.
Yep,
but I think this
or
time
a solo squad.
Yeah. I think this time they're going to be way more focused on what you just said, Kickstand. Spawn bombs. So,
Yep.
sneak attack, spawn bomb, there's your bat cap. It's no longer going to be one little guy hanging out at A that's just, burning the flag. I don't think that's going to be what you see oftentimes. The reviving, though, and the ammo. The reviving thing is super cool. I like the idea that everybody can have everybody's a medic. It's kind of like, when I was in the Army, guys, this is the way it works. Your first job's a rifleman, your second job's a medic. And even if that's not your MOS, I don't care what you join the Army for. Your first job's to shoot a rifle, and your second job's to battle buddy aid to buddy aid your buddy. This is interesting because I can get Necro as a recon guy, and I can reach, grab him, pull him behind cover, and revive him very slowly and bring him back to a certain amount of health so he can get back in the fight. And until I do that, he's sitting there looking around saying, I'm not dead yet. Not dead yet. I'm still doing that type of thing. So that is a game changer that anybody can do it. But I like the fact that it's kind of at a debuff. You're doing it. It's risky. Takes a long time. Could be a game changer. It's a risk to take. Thoughts?
I think it's great. It's something that I've not even heard of the idea until this whole thing came up, and I was blown away by it. I was just listening to them talk about it, and I was like, that's brilliant. That's amazing. Why wasn't this brought in sooner? That makes me want to play the game right now. I want to get a group of friends together, go around, try to win these matches, and as they're being taken out and as I'm being taken out, being able to try to keep the play alive by bringing them back to life, taking those big risk plays, trying to drag them behind a rock or a wall, bring them back to life, albeit slowly, but you never know. You might pull it off, and if you do, that's very, very satisfying gameplay. it's still, medics will always be superior. Straight up medic play will be superior, and there's nothing to worry about there, in my opinion. But the idea of being able to play as a squad and being able to kind of watch each other's backs more than just shooting enemies is amazing to me. I really enjoy it.
I think that it's another playstyle mechanic that harkens back to it's going to be a slower playstyle now too. Like if you want to sustain your squad and be at a tactical advantage, reviving down squad mates is going to take a little more time than running by with either defibs or a needle like it was on the last few battlefields. So it's going to take a lot of thought. It's going to take a lot more brain cells to play Battlefield, and that makes me very excited. So,
well, going back to the last thing we just talked about, it's going to take squad coordination too. It doesn't do me much good to just grab somebody off the battlefield that I don't know or that I can't coordinate. I mean, I'm making a decision. I'm making a tactical decision to take myself out of gunplay, grab somebody, use whatever skill I have to get them back into the fight. But now I have to coordinate, make sure, do I have a medic nearby that can throw me some health if I'm getting shot at, and this guy, because he's not going to be at full health. We can't just, there's no more of this running up, sticking a needle or paddles or whatever else. And guess what, guys? 100% health. Now that can happen with a medic maybe, but this is going to be oh, I got to do this. I'm going to save your life. We're going to pull you back out. I need to find a medic though, because we got to pull back and get some health, maybe even a little ammo at this point, and then progress. That takes coordination. Again, it's forcing the squad to talk to each other and play with each other. I mean, that's just anything you do to bring that. And this is another way to do it.
Also, it may actually force more even class gameplay as well. People will be more inclined to work together, kind of like an MMO. You need a tank, you need a healer, you need a DPSer. Same idea here. You need people that are specialized in working together. And I feel like the squads that do that best are going to show very, very brightly on the battlefield.
Absolutely. How many times do you guys join a match and play 64, play a 64 player conquest, and then you die a couple of times and you're like, okay, you're not getting revived. You squad, they might have a medic, but you look down at the list and you're like, there are 2 medics on my team.
Yep.
I mean, that's the real thing. And so now I think with people, just like you just said, you're going to have to talk about it. Like, hey, do we really need a medic? We're getting kind of rocked here. All right, I'm going to switch them. I'm going to go medic. I'm gonna take my archetype or whatever I've built, and I'm gonna go medic so I can actually give you guys something that you need. So
squad meta is going to be a thing again, which excites me a lot because in the older Battlefields, squad meta was very important. You didn't depend on blueberries. You made sure that your squad was set up to succeed for your play style. So it's going to take a lot more coordination.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Moving on a little bit, we're going to talk about a couple things. We can talk about. Let me see how we're going to do this here. Gun mechanics is definitely something we have to talk about. I think we have a question on our sheet here that I know that Necro, I'm totally interested to know, and so that you can tell other people how this is going to affect it. On PC, I'm curious how the RBD is going to be. There's no more RBD, like no random bullet deviation. You're going to be able to shoot at a wall, and you're going to be able to see a pretty consistent pattern, over and over. And they showed us, how this would work in game. And so you point at something, you're going to shoot at it, and things like the visual recoil, all of those things being, all gone by the wayside. Change of the game in shooting. On console, I have no idea how that impacts players, whether they're using aim assist on their controllers or whether they're not, because some people prefer one over the other. How's that going to affect the console player, and in your opinion on the PC player, because you play PC too?
Even with aim assist, RBD is an issue. You can lock right onto a target, but your bullets are shooting to the left and right of them. It's something that exists in all platforms. There is no avoiding it. Some weapons are worse than others, depending on, I've noticed that LMGs to start off with are the worst, but that's part of their mechanic. The longer you fire, the more accurate it becomes. But so on fully automatic stuff, aside from that, the assault class suffers a lot from that, and that's a lot of the reason why they can't really do much long range. But there is a balance aspect to that. However, it kind of takes away from skilled gunplay. The whole idea where it's not a visual, it doesn't help you visually. It just makes the enemy feel like they're invincible. You know what I mean? And that's not really fair. It should be at the fault of the shooter if they miss, rather than a random mechanic built between the two players that are going at it. that's, pretty straightforward in most games. And so I'm really excited to see it going away in this next title where you point, where you shoot is where the round goes, and then an actual recoil system on top of that is it's going to feel and play great. After seeing the examples they showed us, I'm so excited.
Is there any significant difference that you think is going to be? I know we always talk about, when we talk about console gamers and PC gamers, that mouse and keyboard direct inputs and those types of things, vice, playing with the controller. And this is not a, PC master race, console master race conversation. It's more of a, because it's total preference, and it's where you feel comfortable and it's what you learn how to do. Do you think there's going to be a significant difference in accuracy for console gamers on a whole, like on a larger scale? It's a larger component than it is PC players, who are, by and large, are going to be mouse and keyboard tweaking their settings to make sure that they've got those sensitivities right.
With aim assist built into the game, it depends on how strong they make it in this next title. For Battlefield 1, it was incredibly powerful. It was toned down a little bit a few patches ago, which is great, but overall, it is going to make people using controllers on console, or if you use a controller on PC, it will make it so you will lock on your target and you will hit them. The only thing you have to fight against is the recoil, but then that comes down to something with the game itself. Every weapon will have a unique feel and a unique recoil pattern that you can learn and master. And so with that coupled in there, it's going to make it easier at first, and then if you want to actually get into the real mechanics of the game and improve your overall skill in the game, learning that recoil pattern on top of aim assist will help you kind of stand out as a player instead of just kind of burst firing all the time. If you can master that recoil, you can laser beam people by learning and mastering that recoil. And so with the aim assist, even though the recoil is there, you'll stand out as a player, getting incredible kill streaks because you're learning the recoil system. And so it goes both ways, where at first on the onset of it, you're a killer. If you're using something like a shotgun point blank, you're going to be a god. But if you're using something like SMG or early form of AR, like STG stuff, then you'll stand out more so if you learn the recoil patterns. And that's something that I feel, again, plays into skill-based gameplay. And so I'm completely okay with that. I think adding a skill or adding a skill level to the game is going to make it feel more competitive. Should they carry on with incursions in the next title, that's going to be something that, they won't have aim assist there, but still mastering that recoil is going to be enormous. It's going to be one of the biggest assets you can have as an individual player.
Kick, what you got?
I don't know if you remember, but I tweeted out, I want to say it was a week or two ago, about how Battlefield 1 is the only Battlefield, I would say, other than Hardline, where I don't have over 2,000 hours played.
I read that.
80 to 90% of that I can directly relate to random bullet deviation, because it felt so unrewarding to me in a quote unquote competitive first person shooter to not being able to hit a target that you're clearly aiming at. You're compensating for the recoil correctly, you're bursting when you should be, and you're still having bullets go to the left, to the right. You're kind of silhouetting your targets. Seeing this and these changes in Battlefield 5 has me extremely excited. I think this is one of the things that got me the most excited for BF5. And I think a lot of that might be feedback they got from the Incursions folks. It's really hard to have a straight up competitive game that doesn't have a skill gap that can be attained with guns, because you've learned how it handles the recoil patterns, whether it's horizontal recoil, vertical recoil. You have a X and Y plane that you have to learn and master when it comes to these guns and the recoil patterns that are going to differentiate yourself from other players. And the gunplay in Battlefield 1 didn't feel rewarding for me, so I'm very hungry. Excuse me, I just read Necros. I am hungry too. But
I'm hungry too.
I'm very pumped with these changes. I think there's a huge swath of the Battlefield community that is going to be very excited with these changes when they get their hands on them.
Yeah. Think of Counter-Strike with random bullet deviation, like to the extreme. Think of a game like that, and then tell me that it would be this many years old, this many iterations in, and as popular as it has been in the competitive scene. So I'm not a competitive player. I'm a casual, but I consider myself decent. I love the games and I love to play them. I love to try to master different weapons and get really good with them. And some of you guys that know me know I'm like an Arasaka guy. I love that stuff. But I think that any game that wants to be successful in that. So I think you might be right with the incursions comment because, and I don't know, but any one of those guys that are going to want to play actual competitive matches they're going to get they're going to get angry. They're going to get upset that their practice, that their efforts, that the longer that they put into their training might not actually pay off in a one-on-one battle. I think so. I think that's a very good comment. I think that actually is probably where it came from. And if it didn't, then congratulations, competitive players, you just won. And hopefully incursions as it moves on to Battlefield 5, because I don't see it going away. They put a lot of effort into incursions. I think you guys are going to benefit from that a whole lot. The things that along with that, and this is an interesting transition here. I don't think we played it out this way, but we want to talk about the movements, the things that you can do in the game. And I want to, first I'm just going to say, holy crap, you watch some of the video that we got to see and stumbling over terrain. I mean, it doesn't affect you as a player. You as a player are going to, it affects the visualization of the game. So like you're running around and your character kind of stumbles a little bit, but you're still looking forward. It's not like you're going to trip. I think they said this specifically. You're not going to trip and look at the ground or look at the sky because you lost your balance. But the visualization, the realism of that is actually pretty cool. And then like your momentum means something. You hit the wall because you're running, you're going to hit the wall and you're going to bump into it and it's going to slam, or you're going to slam through a window. No more breaking out a window. You're going to go right through it. Here's a concern that I have. I don't know if you guys share it, but when I watched someone run several times over the same little piece of terrain, and I watched their call it their avatar in the game trip and kind of duck down a little bit as if they were stumbling. If I'm aiming at that player at that time, I want to know if the hitbox changes. I'm assuming it does, because if the player is a wireframe player and it moves that way, so that's going to be a big game changer, especially for folks that are sniping, especially for folks that are trying to lead well. Because even with no random bullet deviation and your shots go where they go, that player may not be in 0.2 seconds where you aimed, and it's going to be because of the character movement. What do you guys think?
It's all playing into what the terrain is and the skill of the player. Anyone can aim waist level. I really doubt if someone stumbles that their waist is going to go off to the left or right, right? It's most people's very stable part of their body between the waist and the upper chest is where the human center is. And so if they stumble and you're aiming at the mid body, you're still going to land majority of your shots. If you're aiming for the head as a sniper, it's high risk, high reward. As a sniper, you have to make that decision. You have to pay attention to the terrain. You have to wonder where that player's going. If they're running at rocks, think about that. Okay, they're running at rocks. There's a potential they're going to stumble or they're going to crash, and you have to pay attention and actually land your shot, or you take the shot just before or wait until they correct themselves just after. You have to actually think about where you're placing your shots, which to me is beautiful. It adds another in-depth skill level. It makes it so scout not as easy. DMRs not as easy. You have to actually pay attention to where you're shooting instead of just spamming rounds. I like that a lot myself.
I'm very excited for. I like that little snippet when the player in the trailer jumped out of the window, landed on her back, and could kind of she walked her way along those tanks with her shoulders.
God,
I think that's
that,
very
dude.
like Rainbow
So
Six
good.
Siege-esque.
Yes.
Like the fact that they're gonna, and even the guy when he had the LMG and he hit the deck and he had his legs spread and he was shooting, on a horizontal plane on his back. I think that's pretty damn cool. One thing I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works, especially with Frostbite trademark, is how player models interact with the environment, how they're going to leave trails in mud now. They're going to push down grass over time. Like if you're at C flag and B flag's getting ticked away and you're like, wait a minute, we didn't see anybody go by, your squad can fan out and look at the environment and try to maybe pick up their trail in the grass to see, oh, this is where they came from. Let's try attacking from a different position and get them from the back. Like if it's going to be that detailed, I think that's going to be extremely cool because Frostbite is more than capable of doing that. I'm glad they added delays to diving and stuff like that. One thing that for me and BF1 players kind of all felt like Usain Bolt Like you kind of felt like you were running 100 miles an hour wherever you were going. So I think that once again plays into the pacing. It's going to be a lot more methodical. You're going to have to put thought into where you're going and how you're going to get there. So I think movement can be huge for Battlefield 5.
Yeah, and that's and you just highlighted some of the, I mean, my concern was that's just my concern is it will affect hitboxes, and just because I was reading over here while Necker was talking, Shadox Films, buddy of mine, also, hey, congratulations, he just got Twitch affiliate today, woohoo, hype for Shadox.
Congrats, buddy.
That he had mentioned that they were talking about this and they don't know they don't know how it's going to work. They don't know how that's going to affect balance. And he said, I think if it's already gone now, but I think he said there it might be ally only, so allies will see it maybe, but the enemy won't. I kind of hope they don't do that. I figure all or nothing. I guess make it work and make it don't do something that's so um, I think Necro is right, and people like me just need to get with the program. If it's going to affect how I hit that box, hit the hitbox, I need to pay more attention. My skill needs to race. I need to not be lazy and just aim where I would always aim. But to your point, Kickstand, I just want to know from the chat and from you guys what I heard when she jumps out that window, turns around and fires that shot. And I'm gonna try not to stream. I'll try not to curse any more than this, but does she say "get fucked"?
Yep.
That's what she says.
Absolutely.
She screams it when she pops that thing. It was such a great scene. That was like one of my favorites. As she's going backwards, she jumps out, screams it out there, and I'm like, that. I want to play it. I want to play that class. I want to do that from that. Laying down. How many times have you been playing that class and then get beamed in the back of the head because you can't turn around or move around? I think that's fantastic. But yeah, I think she did say it, so you guys confirmed, and I love it. I love that grittiness. It's still there. It's the grittiness in Battlefield is still there.
Battlefield's always had great battle callouts or battle cries from the AI. It's awesome.
I also got to watch my cursing because my streams, I'm trying to get rid of them completely, just in case. Battlefield stream team, guys, I can't do it anymore.
Swear jar.
Swear jar. I don't know. Jeff will fire me. So, did you guys notice when he gets blown back in the trailer? That is a real thing. He gets blown back by the explosion of the bomb of the it was a V1 rocket coming in, I think it was, and that overpressure knocked him on his buttocks. I mean, that's a game changer right there. If it's not just, oh, I got fragged, I saw the red marker, I still have 25% health, I'm going to keep shooting. Nope. I'm no longer where I was a second ago. I am now moved completely. How is that going to? I could tell you myself how it's going to affect. It's going to push people off points if you hit it right. But that I would assume it's going to happen for any explosives. So going earlier back to hopefully we don't have a whole lot of explosive spam. Explosives change now. It's completely different.
I believe the thing said large explosions, so I like things like basic grenades. I believe shouldn't have it just because that's like I get that there is a blast from them, but I really think that would be too much for that type of combat. You got a squad on squad, 4 grenades go out, everyone's flying different directions. I really don't like that idea. However, a V1 rocket coming into the play, large explosion style, whoever it lands near will be knocked on their ass. I think that's cool because it's a powerful explosive. It was for its time quite advanced. But I don't think that things like basic grenades or dynamite or whatever else they'll have on a smaller scale should do that, simply because you don't want every battle being dictated by explosives. And even if there's minimal explosives, 1 or 2 grenades being tossed, should only 1 or 2 people be supplied with them, it's something that can really kind of become a gimmick. And I would hate to see, again, explosives of that style deciding fights.
I can see that.
I'm kind of glad it affects friendly forces as much as enemy forces too, especially when it comes to those rockets. Like we don't know, how if there's going to be mortar attacks or how these rocket attacks are going to work yet. At least I don't. But the fact that they do affect friendlies means that you're going to have to put some thought into where and when you're dropping those. Because if you're on a good push and you knock half your team back, you know what I mean, and it creates a stalemate, then was it worth calling it in the first place? I mean,
you could be pissed off at that teammate that wasted it.
It's going to be a very interesting dynamic. I can't wait to see how that plays out.
I can't wait to see how it's controlled.
Yeah,
because I guess I didn't understand if it was like Call of Duty Call of Duty kill streaks and getting your care package. I mean, I don't know if it's on me or if it's on the squad or if it's on the team and who gets to do that. So and that just I might have missed it. Maybe you guys know. Do you guys have a concern or thought about that?
I don't know yet. I haven't
Because
seen any.
because
Yeah,
man,
I don't know, man.
the blueberry that pushes the button. I don't, you know what I mean? It's like we're having a great game, everybody's working together, and random dude just goes, "Ooh, I can execute that." No,
Does
no,
that
no, wrong time, wrong time.
does that mean there's going to be a commander-esque feature? Like, is that called in by somebody that's not even on the battlefield, or that's a good question.
I'd love to
It's
do
all
it
done
from a
by squad
hideout.
leaders, right?
It is okay.
I believe it's
So
squad
okay, so
leaders.
if
It's
that's the
kind of
mechanic,
combining the commander role into the squad leads. That way they
Ah,
have more of
so it is more
a
important.
powerful role. Yeah.
Awesome. Jeez,
that's
everything I hear about
that's way
Battlefield
better.
5 is like, you know what? That sounds really cool. Like,
That's way
that's a
better.
good idea.
Because then you know, so if you're playing with it as a squad, especially with folks you know, then you kind of trust them and you can talk about it too. Like
Yep.
instead of just having somebody who's like, I have points, I'm going to use them. You can say, I want to use this. I want to execute this. Yes, now's the right. No, now, not now. Now. Wait. Go. Do it
Yep.
now. Do it on C. Do it there. You know, that's a great level of coordination, especially for something that's going to be game impacting. You know, maybe game changing. You know, if you reach that level where you can call in something so big.
Just adds another level of team coordination. I'm all for that.
Your half chub is now 3/4.
Wait a minute. Yep.
um, with things like that and the explosions, and we talked about the fortifications, destruction still like it always is in a Battlefield 1 game or not Battlefield 1, but a Battlefield game. Um, there is absolute awesome destruction that I saw. However, I know that they talked about not having pure 100% destruction. There's a reason why you come back and fortify things is so that you can actually keep that in some way defensible. But full on destruction, I think this is a paraphrase from what we were told, was it just makes a flat map. And so you could do that, and then you have a map that everybody's just running over rubble, and it changes, and it's not fun. It's just basically a TDM thing anyway. But having the most amount of destruction you can have with fortification, but still having some key components that are completely gone. I do like the idea of. I used to love the whole idea of, man, we need full destruction. Take down every building, every tower. If I shoot something with it, it should blow up. I need to blow a hole in this wall. But after hearing that, it kind of makes more sense to not have everything be fully destructible. Otherwise, it just breaks a game.
I kind of call it the Galicia effect, where there's so little cover that
Yeah.
everyone just sits still. It becomes really hard to play on a map that size, where everyone's just pretty much everyone changes to scout and medic at that point, and they just poke each other to death. There's no real advancement, you know.
Right.
It's got to make map design really hard too, from a design standpoint.
Oh, no doubt.
Because in other games, when you put a building there, you know how that building's gonna react to the environment for the whole round because it's not going anywhere. We all remember Bad Company 2. You'd have snipers calling in mortar rounds all round, and then the level halfway through was totally demolished every single round.
Right.
I think one cool thing about the way the physics works for explosions in Battlefield 5 is, sure, these buildings might be leveled, but because the buildings react differently to different explosions, it could add a different dynamic later on in the round that is different every round.
Sure. Gold
And
Falcon, just to respond to his question here before I lose it, is the squad leader takeover thing still in Battlefield 5? From what I understand, there's got to be a mechanic for that. I think
There
they did
is.
talk about
They
ways. So
confirmed same as Battlefield 1.
there it is. Okay, so you will be able to take squad lead from someone who's not squad leading. So that's a really good thing. So sorry, Kicksan, just wanted to.
no, that's super important. I'm glad to hear that too. I wasn't sure, but as much onus as they're putting on that role now, other than
Yeah.
in Battlefield 1 and other battlefields, you're just picking flags to go attack. If they're going to have that much of an impact on the game, that's huge. So
Squad leaders are going to be wildly responsible for so many more things. So it's going to be one of those things that, again, you have to use more brain cells. You're going to be more thoughtful in your actions, and I'm all about it. Like myself,
Yeah.
I play
Yep.
squad lead all the time, and I always feel like there's more I should be doing, but then there's no options. So for me, moving forward, this is going to be a fantastic level of gameplay to have on my side.
Conversely, I do it too, but in this case, depending on how the archetypes work and the style of gameplay that I decide out, every Battlefield I've ever played, I changed classes. I like, I was an engineer the entire time Battlefield 4 for the majority of that. I did medic a little bit, a little assault there, but then I was a medic here and now I'm a scout. So every time I play a new Battlefield, I change what interests me and how I play that out. That'll be no different here, especially with the amount of customization and things that I'll get to choose, how to play my classes. But what you just said in terms of how responsible and how you would be like, how can I do this better as a squad leader? There's also an option there for me to say, you know what? I'm not, somebody else needs to be squad lead because I have a different focus right now. I need somebody else to have that responsibility. And I'm conscious enough to say, I'm not going to ruin it. And so somebody take it from me. With my guys, like from Clan AOD, a lot of times when we're playing in squads, I'll straight up say, or I'll hear someone say, hey, somebody take squad lead. I'm doing something else. And I think that that's a really good way to, there's squad tactics again, making the best and highest use out of your squad, your 4 people that are going to be with you, and the different the composition of that. So just wanted to throw that there's a converse thing out there too. You don't have to be squad lead if you want to. Maybe there's some cases where you don't want to. So
I think there's 2 important features I would really love to see in Battlefield 5. One is being able to hand off squad lead to somebody else, or also squad voting for a squad lead. Like if you have a squad lead that's not kind of holding up their end of the bargain, if 4 or if 3 out of 5 people vote to either kick you out as squad lead or pick a different squad lead, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Democracy on the fly. I like it.
Yep. Especially if they're going to be that important, man. They're going to have a huge impact on games now.
Yeah.
So
back when we had ProCon, I had a plugin that did that.
Shh.
okay, sorry, I'm digressing here. Game modes. I'm ridiculously excited for this grand operations thing. I'm hoping that I get obliterated and that I feel completely, like when you go to the gym and you bust out. If you guys if you ever work out, if you go to the gym, you bust out something, you're like, oh my God, I crushed it today and I'm so done. I'm going home, I'm going to sleep. Like your day is that, you've done it so hard. You ran so hard or you lifted so hard or whatever you did. I'm hoping that by the end of a grand operations, like a real true hard fight, win or lose, I kind of hope that I'm like full of sweat and like mentally exhausted. Like it should be hard. And the way that they explained it, I'm excited that might be how it can turn out.
I
What do you
agree.
guys think?
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. I want
Yep.
I want
There it
that
is.
level of intensity. I'm with you. I don't know about being covered in sweat on stream. Like I don't want to be
Fair enough.
that sweaty nerd playing video games. You know what I mean?
Immersion.
Well, you're just gonna have to buy
Immersion.
secret. You're just gonna have to switch to secret,
Yeah, that'll do it.
and then do it everywhere, not just the pits, like all across.
First of all, what do you mean if you guys work out, bro? What do you
Yeah.
mean?
What is
dude?
this?
Well, I
What
was
is
speaking
this?
to everybody in chat also.
We
My
get it.
flex
Daily
is
lifts.
so strong right now.
I've
Where's
seen
my
how swole
camera?
you are. Where's your camera to show us? I want to see the swollenness. All right. What else we got? There's a conversation, and I know that we talked about this, Kickstand and Punisher in another stream early on. Battle Royale, is it coming? Do you think it's going to be here? Do you think it's a fit? All of those things. I'm not going to even comment. Kick, what do you think?
I honestly, first of all, if it is, I'm glad they didn't lead with it, because the hardcore Battlefield audience would have been like, okay, really? The one thing that has my eyebrow raised is Activision Blizzard. Call of Duty's gonna have a battle royale, and EA and Activision have a really good history of borrowing ideas from each other or competing on the same playing field to duke it out and see who can do it better. Frostbite 3 would tickle my funny bone with battle royale. I'll be honest. I'm one of those guys that if a company can integrate it well and it doesn't detract from the main game, Battlefield's not known for battle royale. As long as Conquest and all the other game modes work great, you can do whatever else you want on top of that. I think they could pull it off. I don't know if they're going to do it. I'm just really glad they didn't lead with that. I'll leave it at that.
I agree. Yep. I feel grateful that it's not even been revealed if there is one, so that way there is no, like you said, they're leading the way with what everything else they have going on, instead of saying, hey, we're bringing in this outside genre that's brand new and kicking ass. You know what I mean? However, should they want to, or if they do have one planned, I feel if they deliver a solid experience with what's given in the game, everything they've talked about, everything they showed in the trailer, and the information out there already, then I think it's going to be a great addition to the game. I recently did not think this, but only because I've seen and have been reading every little bit of the information that I have already over and over again. I feel it could create a very, very diverse way of playing the game. It can be an alternate thing to take a break from the main game with, whether you're playing Grand Operations or just hitting up regular Conquest. Um, but should they not add it, they're kind of giving a taste with it with the final stand part of Grand Operations.
True.
The whole idea where it's, you know,
Good
one
point.
one spawn, one magazine, have at it, last person alive wins. I think, you know, they're kind of giving that taste. Maybe they're testing the idea using that. Maybe they're going to go forward from there and see how it plays. But that being said, it is very much so two sides of the same coin. It could be very successful if they deliver a solid experience, and if they don't, should they not do it the way people envision it, or should it not be comparable in a AAA sense, then it's going to flop really hard. And so it is a big, big risk either way.
I'm going to take an economic viewpoint on this. I don't know, and this is not a direct criticism of EA or Dice or how they employ their resources. This is just a question. Incursions is its own thing and has had a lot of resources put into it. I don't know how much that affected the game of Battlefield 1. I don't know what the market. I don't know what the budget system and things like that for. What my concern would be is if you do a mode like Battle Royale, it as long as it, and this is exactly how I would feel about it. As long as those resources, and that means people and money, time, all of those things, as long as those resources didn't take away from what I could have gotten in the main game, I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that as long as it can be sustainable and not keep me away from a new map or keep me away from updates to the game, changes, that type of, CTE style, with that whole, production scheme, I think that that's really important. And you guys saw how awesome the CTE was for both Battlefield 1 and for Battlefield 4 specifically. So as long as it doesn't, but then I had a thought too, and this is just kind of random here. We know that there's no premium, right? Yay, no premium. Hype and chat for no premium. But they're going to be selling things, and it's going to be things that don't affect the game, so you're going to be able to buy stuff. What is PUBG and Fortnite currently making all their money off of? What if they did it, and that ended up kind of like self-licking ice cream cone funding a lot of that that update and that, the new content? A battle royale map, PUBG had one for dang near a year, and only, Fortnite still has the same map. Maybe Battlefield BR only needs one map for a while too, and all that other customization stuff that you can use in BR, that might actually fuel. I don't know how the economics work. It's just a kind of a little thought there, but my thing is, as long as the game is sustainable on its own and something else doesn't detract from my experience playing the main game, that's how I look at it. You guys have any thoughts on that? I know I'm just throwing it at you there.
It's funny you brought up that last point, because when you started bringing up money, the first thing I thought of is, if they're not having premium and they're approaching this as a games as a service, what better way to bring in a ton of cash than to do a battle royale mode? Like it's literally printing money for other devs. So, and honestly, if they did it, the people that are working on the BR I would have to think. I mean, EA's got thousands of people working under their umbrella companies, so you would think that they would have a subset of companies that are only going to do BR. The rest would be on the main game. But it could be a moneymaker if they're going to approach this as a games as a service standpoint. It could actually benefit the rest of the game in the long term, because they'll have this extra cash to dump into other aspects of the game.
Or they just bank it.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Pretty much my thought too. It's pretty straightforward, and in the end, should they do that, I mean, they're going to want money from somewhere, and it's proven to work for every other battle royale so far, having, skins and customization periods. So it can really, really go far should they do it that way. If people, if it's a quality experience, with the power of a AAA market behind them, it can go really, really far.
And they've got all the nuts and bolts, so it wouldn't take a ton for them to put them all together in a salad bowl, and you know what I mean, get the ingredients together.
And who doesn't want to see a BR in Frostbite?
It would be. Can you imagine?
I mean, seriously. Even if it was like just total standalone, I would love to see even the concept of that being played out. That'd be so ridiculous.
I think they would also fill a huge gap in the BR market right now, where PUBG is great, but it's a little janky. Fortnite's great, but you're either good at building and you're not, and some people don't like playing cartoony games. Battlefield Royale could fill that niche of realistic battle royale for adults that don't want to build, endless ladders that don't make sense and just double pump shotguns all day. They could
Right.
really. I mean, it would be amazing on Frostbite. Somebody's hiding in that building. Cool, let's take that building down. You can't do that in PUBG.
Oh man, that would be so awesome.
Yep, keep hiding. Thump. All right, kabang, you're dead. All right, let's go.
Yeah, no, these are really interesting, segues and things. And what's funny is we're actually covering stuff that we should have talked about anyway. We're covering microtransactions and how that would work and things that we talked about. So I mean, because that's how. I mean, we already know the microtransactions are going to be. That's a way to make money. It's a way to not have a paywall for new content, so you don't split the community. People have been begging for that for 4 games right now. People have been begging for no premium piece. So they're going to be doing microtransactions that way. We know we're going to be buying skins. If I got to buy a beard, I will spend the money on a beard. Please don't make it more than $25 because I don't have $25. But I will buy a beard for my character. I guarantee I will have one.
He'll
Maybe
also
I'll
buy
have to
me
draw
one.
it. I will also buy him one. So make it about $11 so I can afford 2.
I would be so bold to say that your guys' beards should be the beards that they use for the models for the cosmetic beards. Let's be honest.
I mean, I'm always down for a photo shoot.
I will model it. I will totally model it. Let's do a hashtag and make that trend so that EA actually listens and says, you know what, you're gonna need to look at Necro and Deity's beard. Go ahead and get that up there because I would love to have my beard in there.
I'd buy those beards. I'm just saying.
I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for 50 if I don't put on that 50.
Hashtag face pubes.
Okay, what else can we talk about this stuff before we move on? Vehicles, we do know one thing, and I just want to cover this piece of it real quickly, and then we can talk about things that you guys think about vehicles. Asymmetric vehicles. So you're going to have different things that you can have on your army, whatever side that you're on. I hope that they're balanced well, because we know historically, and everybody I've talked to, Shadox Films, I think Punisher might have said it too. These are people who like history and are really interested in it. There's some disparity on the realism on both sides of the war of who had better tanks. So I hope that that's balanced, but I think that that's super cool, and I think that the specializations that you might be able to work through would be super cool as well. Thoughts on vehicles?
I think it's pretty cool going a different approach rather than, Battlefield 1, every side gets all things. I think it's going to add a certain level of want to play as a certain side. So there might be some issues there where people are constantly swapping teams, to get to, a specific nation. But that being said, there's ways to block that, saying you can't switch teams more than once every 10 minutes or so. I don't know, something weird like that. Put a wall there. But that being said, it's pretty neat. If you have a smaller vehicle, it's just, it doesn't say the Sherman tank versus the Tiger tank. I don't know, throwing things out there. Tiger tank's going to win. It's going to one-shot that thing. However, the Sherman tank will be faster as a balance point, and so it'll be able to dodge. It'll be able to go through smaller areas. Kind of think of the light tank in Battlefield 1 going down alleyways, going down, through buildings and being able to hide in there without anyone knowing, kind of launching an ambush style attack instead of having that big monster vehicle that's just launching stuff across the map. It's going to add different styles of gameplay. So each team is going to play differently around their vehicles, and it's going to make people think, again, using brain cells, amazing about how they're going about the map based on what they have behind them and alongside them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Battlefield's done asymmetric vehicles before. This isn't a new. They didn't do in Battlefield 1, but they've I mean, in Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, the Russian tank wasn't as fast as the Abrams, but and if anyone can do asymmetrical well, it's going to be DICE, because their whole game is built around rock, paper, scissors. So you might have the faster tank, but when I shoot you, you're going to take, 1.5 times the damage. So there's a give and take.
Yep.
I'm very interested to see how they do it. Not only with tanks, but think of the air warfare in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
The disparity. Japanese, if they do a Pacific Front, Japanese planes outclassed every other army's planes as far as speed went, but they were light and they weren't very well weaponized. They didn't, their armament wasn't as impressive as like the American Mustangs. So I mean, it's gonna be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, kicks in. I guess what I was kind of referring to there too is yeah, I agree with you. This is not the first time we've seen different vehicles on different teams in Battlefield, but the specializations and the way that those play out, and I haven't seen it. I haven't done it myself. I've only seen what they had for the little skill trees. If you go down one versus another, that's where I guess I'm always concerned about balance and how different that could be. So I agree with you. They're not going to. They're just like my other statement earlier. They're not going to unbalance their game to where nobody wants to play it, or to where everyone plays. Everybody has to play on the British side for one reason or another. But it was definitely about the things that you can do with that and how pivotal those can be, or what's the word I'm looking for? How counter you can play, and plus you don't know what the other guy's got. You don't know what he's running. You don't know what his
what his specialization. Yeah,
what his
that's a very good
specializations
point.
are. You got no idea. He might be running just straight up, I'm gonna wreck you one shot, and you might be running the same thing, and he gets first off. You should have played defensive. That's gonna be an interesting way to look at that. Huh.
He just had an epiphany on stream. Light bulb. Bing.
Everybody else is like, no, we've already thought about that. What else do you guys want to talk about before we move on to some other stuff? Game-wise, Kickstand, do you have anything else game-wise, just internal to the game? What you've seen, what you don't see, what you haven't seen, what you want? Something that we haven't covered that you're interested in right now?
Everything that I have seen and know of so far has been positive in my eyes. They haven't really made any decision that scratched your head, and that happened a lot when Battlefield 1 first came out, especially with the change to the scoring system that, thank God, is being changed.
Coming back.
But there was a few tweaks, and a lot of it was the gunplay too that happened in Battlefield 1, where everyone kind of scratched their head. I think in my eyes, I'm excited for everything that I'm seeing and reading about for Battlefield 5. I just haven't read anything that was like, where did they come to the conclusion that this would be a great addition to the game? Mm-hmm. All of these changes, in my eyes, are great additions and changes to the game. So that's where I stand.
Something that hasn't been talked about a whole lot is the spotting.
Oh yeah.
Yes, thank
that's
God.
being completely revolutionized. It's not going to be Dorito Field anymore. You're not going to be able to shoot
HUD Field.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to shoot through smoke, knowing a guy's going to be there because you can see that big bright red marker over him. And after a while of playing the game too, I've noticed watching people like Daz, they can play very well with that mechanic, with the spotting, because they know exactly how far above that person's head that little Dorito is. So you can one-shot people every single time through smoke. So now that that's going away, it's also going to create a tactical skill cap, if that's a term. Whereas if you're using if you're using smoke grenades, you'll actually have proper cover because you won't be spotted before moving through it. And so instantly you have actual legitimate cover that is deployable by pressing a button. It's not like a wall. People can still fire through it, so you still have that chance of being gunned down or lucky shot. That's still going to be a thing, but you're also going to be able to tone down people that like Daz that are just popping off headshots left or right completely legitimately through smoke, at ridiculously long ranges. We can't even see the person, but that Dorito's there, and so you can angle it. You can abuse that drop behind a rock or something like that. It's going to take a lot of that away. So people, specifically scouts and other long-range stuff, they won't be able to kind of cheese their way through the entire match. They're going to have to actually pay attention. They have to spot their targets with their own two eyes and then go from there.
Indeed. Absolutely. That is something we didn't cover, and it's something that I know that people are going to have to change. We talked about changing your game, change the way you play.
Huge.
That's one of those things that are going to change the way you play.
Another good addition. More bigger aspect on team play. I can't reiterate that enough. That's going to be such a big change for this iteration.
Brain cells, baby.
Something along those lines too, and probably the last thing for this segment before we move on to the next part is suppression. And we didn't originally have an answer. I think we have an answer now on suppression. Is it going to be visual only? I thought I saw something on Twitter that confirmed that. You guys know anything, or have anybody heard anything?
I myself haven't seen anything, and when it was, brought up in question form in the BTS, it was,
You'll like
we can't really talk about it yet because we haven't really finalized a decision. We're still, debating things. We're still considering, but they did say very clearly that they've heard the community. They do understand what people want, and they're trying to work the best they can with that. So either way what they come up with, I'm assuming it's gonna be pretty different from what we have now in Battlefield 1. It's gonna be not as useful for people using full automatic weaponry to just tone people down to nothingness. It's gonna be it's gonna be counterable in a sense.
Mason says visual only has been said to be the current idea, but not confirmed. So I'd like, if you got a source on that, go ahead and drop it. You got or give it to Pun or something. I'm just curious, where that might have come from. I'd like to know where they're currently thinking, and if they said they've heard us, I know most people that I know. Then again, I know a lot of scouts want visual only. What do you think, Kick?
I would be, yeah. I've always, it's such a weird mechanic, and it kind of, I know people kind of get sick of hearing this, but it kind of rewards people for missing their shots. Like I've never understood whoever starts the engagement and is the most accurate should win the engagement. And I know 9 times out of 10 that happens, but we've all died because we were suppressed. The bullet deviation from suppression is doo doo. So I'm fine with visual suppression as long as it's dialed in correctly, because in the fog of war, when you're getting shot at, I can only say this, as a theory. I've never been shot at, but you would probably think that it gets a little leery and a little weird. Like you're not going to be, you know what I mean, so focused. So
Not everybody's Vasily Zaitsev.
Yeah. Like I'm fine with visual recoil. I mean, not visual recoil, visual suppression.
Perfect example in game in Battlefield 1 to demonstrate what you just said, that it rewards people for missing. How does everybody get their suppression assist ribbons and their medals?
Yep. It's LMG.
You don't kill them.
Bipod. Yep.
You shoot everywhere around them and let your buddies kill them. That's literally what you do. I mean, because that's how it works. And it works better with some weapons that are meant to suppress. So, well, we know it's changing some way. It's not going to be the same. This whole game is so different. I don't think that there's anything that you can say. What my biggest fear was going into, knowing that it was going to be a World War II game was, well, there's all the arguments for reskins coming back because now it's Battlefield 1 and World War II. There is nothing reskin that what I saw. This is a new game. This is a new Battlefield.
Yeah,
if that doesn't excite. I mean, I got chills again.
Even with the bare bones things that were shown us of just the visual recoil example that was shown off in the BTS, it was so different from anything I had seen in Battlefield previous, even with just the bare minimum of stuff that was visible, at the time. And so anyone that has the idea of a reskin is literally just saying that to troll at this point, because even just looking at the trailer, it looks very different. Granted, it's bright. It seems a little bit more upbeat, whatever. The fact of the matter is, it's not a reskin. It doesn't look like past Battlefield. You could see that it's made by DICE. It has, that same feel to it, but it's not a reskin by any means. I don't understand how people can even say that. It blows my mind.
Yeah,
100% can tell it's a DICE game. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was a little worried when they announced World War II. I was like, oh, great, another year of a lot of brown and grays. But I almost think they went out of their way to make the trailer vibrant. But if that's an actual map and that was actual gameplay, then that means we're going to have, I mean, the European front, a lot of those maps are going to take place where places that are hedgerows, and the Battle of the Bulge was in a forest. I mean, there's a huge swath of the globe to take their examples from. So hopefully it's not another year of muddy browns and greens and grays. And I want to see some colors that pop. You want to be able to pick out soldiers from the environment to a certain extent,
Yeah, and with the theaters that we know, or at least the areas that we know we're going to play, you're going to see a lot of contrast.
Yeah,
and
which I'm pumped for.
Yeah, it's going to be some not knowing all the maps and not knowing how all those things are going to be play out. They're going to be gorgeous. And knowing what DICE did with Battlefield 1, to their credit, the places you fought that were real places have some significant reality to those, and talk about immersion all you want to, but that immersive feel of being in Amiens, I mean, I love that map. I love being in those streets, and if you look at some of those old photos, you get that feel. I guarantee they're gonna do it again for Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
This is the last thing on the high level stuff that we could talk about, I guess, is RSP. I'll tell you right now, I tried so hard to ask that question. I tried so hard. The answer, I don't want to say that I received an answer so much as I did. They're not ready to talk about it yet, which frustrates me, because if you're going to change it, tell me you're going to change it. Don't tell me how. That's fine. You can't tell me that stuff. If you're going to, and this goes for anything, if you say I can't talk about it yet in a reveal or something like that, tell me, or at least tell me that there's something that we're doing with it. Give me something, but zero, like no, like just dead air on some of the topics. That leaves us to wonder, and it makes us really, my trepidations on some of those things get really spiky. It doesn't matter what it is. This is RSP that I'm talking about, but any of those types of things, suppression or whatever else, give it something that we can say we're looking at it, we're thinking about how to do it. The roadmap stuff, even if it's got some missing spots on it, talk to us about it. That's something that they didn't do running up to Battlefield 1, and we asked for it. Now we're sitting here looking at a new game. We already know what happened without having really good RSP community servers. We already know what could have been on consoles for having really robust, the way that we used to have on PC, community servers and things that you can do. And even for content creators that just want to make stuff, RSP is vital, guys. It was vital for all your other games. It's been the worst example of any Battlefield game to date on putting servers together. And look what it's done to some communities. It's decimated some of them. Tell us that you're not going to do that again, or tell us that you're actually incorporating that stuff. Give the public something so that they can look at it. So that's what I'll say about that. I know nothing about what they're going to do.
I mean, I agree. As a content creator, I play, all three platforms, as you guys know. I think it would be really great on whatever night. Say I'm playing on PS4 one night. I would love to be able to say, all right, guys, let's go into our server and get things rolling. Let's fill this bad boy up and let's get people in here and let's play. And while I'm doing my stream thing, I can have someone alongside me, helping, run the server, make sure no one's doing anything bad. If I'm on PC, there's no hacking. If, no one's saying, stupid things in the chat, whether it's, racist or sexist, whatever. I think it'd be really great. It would add a level of depth to the community, even being able to not only play with people, but fill a server up and play head on with them as well as alongside them in a more sense than just let's go find a server that has space for us. Let's go to our own server. I would be down to rent 3 different servers on 3 different platforms every month to keep up with this. I would be absolutely down for that. Have community events, have special, certain weapons only on a night of the week. Being able to, vehicles only, everyone hop in a vehicle, help out your allies, get in that gunner spot, vehicle on vehicle action. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's just explore the maps together. Let's look for Easter eggs, man. Let's get a server together. Go look for these Easter eggs. I'm not an Easter egg hunter, but I'll tell you what, if I have my own server, I'll make time for it. I've never been a real pusher for the RSP program until things went away. Things that I knew were there before were gone. If I had been into streaming and making video content earlier, I would have absolutely made use of those tools. And now that they're not there, I can't. I feel, left behind in a sense. And so being able to create community events, have our community come closer on a game that we all love, a franchise that we all love, would bring the game to not only the next hype level, but it would be something that people look forward to doing on a daily basis, even more so. Everyone has something to look forward to every day. I can't wait to get out of work to stream. Some people will say, I can't wait to get out of work to play Battlefield now. Why not bring that feel back?
I think a lot of it has to do with in Battlefield 4, unfortunately, you had a lot of people in the community, even though they were a vocal minority, complaining about badmins. But I'll take a badmin over the results we got from Battlefield 1 any day. I'll blacklist their server and never play on it. I mean, it's that easy. So I would really love to see. I know. I think I saw Westy tweet out about it. He said there's a lot more dials and buttons with this iteration, but I don't think he has a lot of. I can't speak on this, but I don't think he has a ton of experience hosting servers. So if it's got more bells and whistles, are they useful? You know what I mean?
No. In fact, he's actually tagged Pun and I in different discussions about those. By the way.
He has. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't. You can take what you want from that, but I would love to see the old model back. Even if EA wants their piece of the pie of the profit and you have to rent it from them, let people do what they want with them. They're paying for them. You know what I mean? It's free money for you guys. It's money you weren't getting in other Battlefields. Just take the checks and let people. And if you're not going to do that, for the love of God, this is coming as a streamer. Please put a language filter in your effing chat so I don't see the N word 100 times every time I stream. I have to turn chat off when I stream now, so that means one half of my interaction with the other players on my server doesn't happen because I can't chat with them because I can't have it up. So it's like, if Blizzard has done it, let's get some language filters if you're not going to give that power back to server admins, please. I'm begging you. Anybody?
Yeah, I'm with you. When I play on PC, it's the same thing. First thing I have to do is turn the chat off because I know it's coming at some point very soon.
And that's new. I don't know what it is with the community, but that you used to get an edgelord now and then, but lately it's been a lot worse. And I think it sucks that I have to turn the chat off. So please fix.
With ProCon, we used to have a plugin that did that for us.
Shh, quiet.
No, it's a super good point, and I know that console people sometimes, or console players, I say console people like, what do you mean those people?
Those guys.
Console players,
it's
something I've heard from console players is that they are super happy that they don't have that in-game chat that works like that, because they avoid that type of negativity. They get it in their ear comms, they get it on their PSN network stuff, they get it wherever they get it, and you see that. And so there's always going to be a troll, there's always going to be some of that stuff. I wish I would have recorded last night our operations rounds where we literally had someone copy a name of one of our gamers, make a fake AOD platoon just to come back on that server and make us try to make us look bad playing operations. That's like the deepest level of troll I've seen.
Yeah.
It was solid. I mean, in fact, I said, get everything that guy's doing and go report him because it's a violation of Chapter 6 of their terms of service, 100%. Like, absolutely. You can't impersonate someone or anyone from EA.
Flat out copying server names too.
Yeah. Oh, that's happened to us twice.
Yep. Yeah. People just copy and paste the whole server name because they see that it's a pretty consistently full server. And then you get on that server, it's not the server you thought it was, and they're an edgelord and just start spamming stuff in chat. So
yeah, this is my little final thought on RSP, just because everybody knows I talk a lot and I like to talk about RSP before I get off my soapbox. You guys are both right. Everything you guys said is 100% true. I wasn't joking when we said we had a plugin for that, and DICE needs to put that in. Period. End of story. I don't care what you do with chat. You can't get rid of it because people use it. It's a vital thing that on PC for sure. People have always used it. People without mic comms or anything else have always coordinated that way. But here's the deal, guys. By the time someone had ever typed in Battlefield 4 on our servers, ERS enter, they were on their desktop immediately.
Yep.
We used to have people say, "Oh, you got to kick that guy because he just said." I'm like, I don't have to do anything. He's looking at his desktop right now. His game is closed. He is done. And why can't you said it, man? Blizzard's got this down. We should be able to have that, and that's just because we need less toxicity in general, right? I mean, we can work with that. But then I also know on the other side of this too, I'm cool with what you said, Kickstand, about, it doesn't matter if they want the piece of the pie. I'm totally okay with EA owning servers. Own the shit out of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're cheaper. I know that my server is just as built the same way that every other server on that farm is made. So it's a very good thing for sustainability. I know that I'm not going to encounter a problem with my RSP provider vice yours, who might have better connectivity or even better parts for their systems. That type is good, but the control needs to go back to the way it used to be. At least give us 75% of the way there. And then all the console folks that I've talked to over the last 2 years, they've been like, well, what's the big deal about this? Showing them what we used to have, opening their eyes to what we used to be able to do, blows their minds. And they're like, what? We could have been doing this on console for communities? I'm like, yes, if they ever did it for them. So final thought there, RSP's got to come back. It's got to have some extra, bells and whistles. It's totally cool if EA runs it, but man, hook us up. The most recent thing that we've had to deal with is the hatred for what we saw. Some of it was game oriented and World War II, and that it's they're like, oh, we don't want to do this, or this is so unhistorically relevant that I don't want to play it, and all of that stuff, which is all BS, total BS. And I just blow that stuff off. Those people are going to come back and play once they see the gameplay. The people that piss me off right now, more than anybody else, jump on board or get off board. Females in a game. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this for the Battlefield podcast, and I don't think I don't think I'm gonna speak. I'm speaking for everybody, and you guys can tell me to shut up afterwards. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, that is you. You are this. You are the most self-absorbed, tiny little man. If you get upset that there's a female in your first-person shooter game, underlined, bold, hashtagged, go fuck yourself. Thoughts?
Agreed.
Unfollow.
Yep. Unfollow. What's up? See you later.
I
No.
just one thing I think about, and I'm not one of these people that kind of gets off on social rants. One thing I try to pride myself on is trying to walk a mile in other people's shoes. And as a dude growing up, almost in every AAA game, I could play as somebody that looked like me. And women and girls have not been able to say that until recently, and I'm all fucking for it, man. If you want to put your female tush right into the battles in World War II, you should be able to put your female tush right next to my chiseled manly tush on the battlefield, and let's go fuck shit up, dude. Excuse my French, but it's such a weird. I'm gonna go on a rant here, but like as a society, it's so weird that people have to draw lines in the sand for every little thing now. Like this is where we're at. You're mad that those zeros and ones have boobs and they weren't there in real life. Like I don't. You got a lot of spare time, dude. Like I just want to turn the game on and shoot stuff. Sorry.
No, good.
I get worked up about stuff like that.
I just ranted. You ranted. It's okay. I think this is a rant-worthy type of thing. I want to. It ain't about social justice warriors, kids. It's about not being a fucking douchebag. Period. End of story. Necro, please say something before I get mad.
All right. So first thing I'm going to say is go fuck yourselves. All right. After that, it's women played an unbelievably critical role across every nation on both sides of every battle. Everything from nurses to the random frontline stuff. Some had their own, their own squads and everything. It existed. There was snipers. They were involved in factories. They were involved in just moral support, getting things together to send to their loved ones on the front line. Because who knows if they were coming home? Why not give them a little bit of that little tiny slice of peace? I don't care if there was one woman on the front line, whether she lived or died on the front line, that woman deserves representation. I don't care if they were in the German army, the Russian army, the American, the British. I don't care. They deserve to be represented. I don't care if there was one fucking female. That person being in existence, helping in that war effort, deserves representation in every way, shape, and form. What makes you think just because you have a dick in your pants means that everything that's different doesn't deserve to be glorified in some sense? My second point, it's a fucking video game, dude. Like, really, are you really comparing real life to video game? If you want a real world experience, sign up for the fucking army and get out of here. Okay? I have nothing but respect for the military, but really, if you're going to compare real life shit to a video game, a virtual experience, get out of here, man. Go away. No one wants you around. That's such an archaic mindset. Go back to the fucking 1800s. No one wants you here. Okay?
Yeah, if you're until they put leprechauns, unicorns, and fucking teddy bears in Battlefield 1 with guns and bazookas, you can stick your immersion excuse up your ass. And honestly, I would buy that DLC, so suck it.
Again, sorry for ranting, but I feel very
I knew that you guys were with.
I'm intimate about this subject because
100%.
it's something for people to be so ignorant. I said it on Twitter. We are living in the age of information. Everyone has mobile phones, PCs, laptops, tablets, whatever. You have access to the internet. Do some goddamn research, man. You have all this stuff for free. You already pay your internet bill, your electricity bill. All the information that comes with it is a big bonus. Go look shit up. Women were very deeply involved. Bloody Faster tweeted her grandmother played a role in
So
the
good.
resistance fighting in Greece after they were invaded. If you don't think that deserves glorification in a video game, how fucking dumb are you?
Dude, the French resistance was
That was
like
amazing.
chock full of
Yeah.
women. Chock full.
Absolutely.
No, Bloody Faster's tweet was fire.
Yeah, it was retweeted like crazy because it's unbelievably real. It was part of her life. That's something that it's directly in her bloodline. Why wouldn't she want to defend that? And the fact that it came to a point where she had to unveil a personal aspect of her family's history because people are going so hardcore against it is both bothersome and badass. Let's be honest. That's badass.
It
Grandma
is.
kicked ass. Yes.
Yeah, you go through that thread, and I'm like, okay, I want her next to me in a foxhole anytime.
Absolutely,
anywhere.
dude. Yes.
I mean, 100%.
I have a question because I've been super busy with work since the trailer came out. Was the female in the trailer based on anybody historically?
So, one of the things I don't know if this was answered directly, but this is what I heard. Necro, please tell me if I'm mishearing, or even Shadox. They plan on doing through the war stories that we didn't talk about, but they're totally back. They plan on doing things that are untold stories. They plan on telling things that I don't know the historical accuracy because we haven't seen them, but there was an idea, and I think it might have just been like a kind of like one of those thought experiments about a female who was not a soldier, not a fighter, but instead decided to fight to take care of her family that was entrenched and held up. And I think that idea alone gives when I knew that, and I wish that's why I wish the and it's a good one, and I can shoot straight, and there is you have a story that is 100% believable to me.
They lost audio.
Oh, audio,
And we're back.
and we're back.
I just wanted to ask that because it was pretty cool. Just kind of a side note. My father lost both of his arms to an industrial accident back in the 70s, and he had hooks that were very close to what she had in the trailer. So
Okay, they said they didn't hear any of that. I'm going to abbreviate. I don't want to say it all over again, but what we know, and like I was asking Necro and Shadex to correct me, we had heard a thought experiment about a story about a young woman who may not have been a fighter or a soldier, but was needed to take care of her family and was doing so by taking up arms and being able to do that. And if that's a war story that because we're talking about war stories that have come back or that they're bringing back into the game, that makes I don't know if they're going to lose audio on this scene again, but that makes that more believable to you. That puts context to that character that we saw in the trailer. That makes me think that that's someone who's like, you know what, lost everything or saved everything, but now I got some payback that I wanted to go deliver and then go be part of this. So that's my thought. That's what I think I heard, and I don't know if
Same.
it was based in reality, but I truly hope that when we see these war stories, just like I loved the reaction from EA. They stuck the woman on the cover art.
Yeah.
Go fuck
Bold
yourself.
move, and I am in love with it.
It's fantastic. And so if they're not, if there's not a war story about a female soldier, I swear to God, I'm gonna riot.
Yeah, the
So fix
Norwegian
that.
one there shows a lady, so I hope it's following her footsteps.
Yeah,
I hope so.
This is all a big thing.
Um,
I mean, trolls exist, right? I mean, they've
Yeah.
always existed. But last game, it was about a dark-skinned individual playing in World War One. Well, we told them to go fuck themselves too, because it's you're petty and you're little and you're small.
Everyone deserves representation and glorification for being involved in no matter what capacity they were. They gave their lives, they gave their time. Why not? Something else I want to touch on again with
Go.
the whole prosthetics thing. I tweeted this last night because I
saw
I
that.
had to dive deeper. You can just Google prosthetics, and the first thing that comes up is the Wikipedia page. There was mechanical prosthetics developed during the height of the Roman Empire. So if you in any way, shape, or form think that prosthetics did not or could not exist in the 1940s, then you're senile. You're out of your mind. You don't know what you're talking about. Go do some learning. Again, information age. You have the internet. Look it up. I can do it. So can you. I didn't know that they existed back then. Prosthetics, peg legs, wooden teeth, hook hands. These all have existed for literally thousands of years.
Peg leg
And
hype.
kickstand hype.
What are you talking about? Nobody here knows anything about prosthetics, so we're just completely out of our ass.
Yeah. It really bothers me that, again, virtual representation, it is a video game. Even so, consider alternate reality at this point. It doesn't really matter. The point is, if you want to compare real life to a video game, then do research first before you complain about it. These things are very, very real. And for anyone to diminish any level of realism from these people's worlds that they lived through, that the people today did not live through, no one alive today that gets involved in video games fought resistance or on the front line in any way, shape, or form, unless they're that incredibly cool person that's over 100 years old that plays video games. And if so, I want to shake your fucking hand. Please meet me somewhere.
or hook.
Or hook. Whatever you have, I want to exchange handshakes. It is well deserved. But even so, the point stands. If you want to compare a video game to reality, at least have the slightest bit of knowledge, the slightest bit. It seems that all these people that are somehow professionals on these subjects don't have any knowledge whatsoever. I don't understand it. Why would you try to you make yourself look like an idiot? And if you're proud of looking like an idiot, then go for it. But at this point, I'm laughing at you.
Especially with the level of butthurt. Like, it's like, how do you get that butthurt?
That's what I don't understand.
How do you get to that point?
I think I don't know if it's because of the rise of social media, but everyone wants to die on every hill instead of choosing their battles. You know what I'm saying? Like, not every hill is Hamburger Hill, dude. You don't got to take a grenade over every argument. If you disagree with something, that's great, but you don't. And you see complaints about people, well, this is revisionist history and blah, blah, blah. If you're getting your history from video games, you're already behind the 8 ball, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And to the other side of that, some kid that's playing this is very interested in it. Maybe they're going to get off their ass and Google and hit up Wikipedia and start learning about the stuff they're seeing in this video game. Watch Band of Brothers, stuff that's a little more historical accurate. But if you're really going to video games for your history lesson, your parents made some bad decisions, dude.
Check this out, kids. Battlefield 1 did more for, I think, gamers' historical knowledge than most any other game that I have ever played or have been aware of, because we have some really amazing people in the community that actually go back and research this stuff. We've got guys like Flackfire that, even if it's not historically accurate, he'll point that out, but he'll show you what it looked like. He'll show you what was there. He'll show you those things. He's not going to stop doing that because this is a different game. He's going to continue doing that, and you guys are going to get a whole bunch of cool stuff. And everybody on Reddit's going to say, "Huh, I guess there was prosthetics." They're going to do that, and then they're going to shut up about it. Shadox Films, Punisher, these are people who they're historians. They really love this stuff. You're going to get so much content about history, regardless of what alternate path this might take, just to show you what was there. You're going to get educated, and then maybe you'll shut up about it.
Yeah,
something else I want to touch on real quick. One of the replies to my tweet yesterday, if someone lost a limb in a battle, they would just be sent home. What if your home was the front line?
Yep.
What if your country is being occupied? At what point do they where do they send you? They send you back to Germany. You're not the same nationality. Go to our place. We'll hook you up. That's not going to happen. You're on the other side. At the very best, they love seeing you limbless. So what's going to happen is they're not going to send you home. You're going to go back to the local professional that can hook you up. They're going to either strap a gun to you, or they're going to give you something you can pull a trigger with, and they're going to send you back. There is no such thing as home when your home is invaded. It exists. The whole reason you're fighting, the whole reason you're part of the resistance, is because your home no longer exists. So you're not sent home.
Well, people, I think your point is amazing right now, because it highlights this one key thing. People always think of things from their own perspective. So folks, especially North American folks and Americans in general, these people are saying, Well, if I know a buddy, and listen, guys, I've been to combat zones, I've been shot at, I've been had things blown up, all of that stuff. So spare me. But listen, yeah, sure. If I got my leg blown off in Afghanistan, they would send me to Mannheim. They would send me to Mannheim. Then they would send me back to Boston, and then I would get all sorts of great care. 100%. If I was a person in France, living in France, holding my town together, and I got my leg blown off, I'm probably going to say, give me a gun and tie that shit off so that I can keep shooting.
Yes.
Not everybody, you have to look at it from not just your perspective, from what actually, that's the perspective you need to look at it from is, no, they're not going to send that person home. Necro, you're 100% right. That guy's going to be like, I need a grenade so I can just die on the battlefield right now, or give me a gun. I don't care. One of the two. They're not getting sent home.
Well, I
They're
think
going down fighting.
that's where, especially when it comes, like you said, from the North American and American perspective, we've never been occupied. We've been very busy fighting wars on other people's turfs. We've never had to fight for our homes, our neighbors. Geez, I can't even imagine. That's a very good point.
Question from chat that I know that Adul, can you please restate your question? And you're asking a question that I think is relevant to what we're talking about. But you said, what about the people in your native country? And if I remember correctly, you're living in Kuwait right now. You live in Kuwait, but you are from Jordan.
Yes.
You're Jordanian,
Yes.
I believe. Man, I love how we know people in our communities. I love how like we actually get to know folks.
He's
Almost like we care.
very popular man.
It's almost like we give a shit, right?
Yeah.
Almost.
People.
Buy my shirt, sub to my channel, and cool story.
Right, exactly. Hit that button, smash that. So restate your questions, Adul, so we can talk about Palestine. So what about people in your native country? So what's your question? Are you talking about a historical, reference point, or what? We have a conflict for more than 70 still happening. I don't want to. No, I'm not going to go into any type of political stuff whatsoever. But I will say, if you're talking about what happened during World War II and how it affected or affected Palestine at the time, I still don't know what the question is. So sorry.
I think he's just bringing up the point that he's from a country that's been occupied since the end of the war.
Okay, then he's exemplifying Necro's point. You're not going to go home. You go, or you're not going to go back home. You're going to go a block away, and then you're going to be okay. I got that. Sorry, Adul, didn't mean to misunderstand. And you have ladies fighting with men also. Yeah, well, there you go. I think that we have beat that one to a bloody pulp.
As it needed to be.
It needs to be. And like I said, I'll state it one more time. This is not about social justice warriors. You can take that shit somewhere else. This is about being a decent human being. That's it. It's not about anything else. And it's about reading up in your history and knowing what the hell you're talking about before you make stupid comments. So, all right. There we go. I guess right now the last thing to do is Q&A. So if you guys ever have any questions for us, if you have questions for Necro, who is the guest host, he's here. He's here to answer all of your questions. He knows everything. With beards come wisdom. Mine is nowhere near as wise as his, although I got some white coming in underneath that a lot. So,
saying
or
I do have white already? Is
What's
that you're telling me? I do have white? Are you seeing white in there?
I do. No, I do.
I mean, I do have some grays, but
what's wrong with white hair in your beards, guys?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Actually, nothing. If it goes white, I'm like excited for it. I'm gonna freaking Gandalf the shit out of this thing.
And the staff for Christmas.
Yeah, just don't say I have a question. Just go ahead and ask a question, and we'll try to field them as we can. We'll give this, I don't know. What do you guys think? Another 10, 15 minutes, see how people think, and we'll answer questions as need be.
Tacticutie, my Ray Romano impressions are very sought after, so you need to calm down, okay?
Beat the dead horse from the Easter egg. Man, I was so sick of that white horse. I was like, just get rid of just give me a game. Show me the new game. I don't care about the white horse. I'm so over it. What we got?
Mason, I think fish is gross, but my cat loves it. That's pretty basic, though.
Shadok says, if I have a prosthetic arm or limb in this case, anyway, anything they give us in this game, do I take damage? Good question. Can't answer. No clue.
I would assume so.
Yeah, I'd assume
the player
it's
model
just
would be
customization point.
I'd assume it's just an augmentation, and that if you're still a wireframe person, and
it'll be weird to see blood come out of metal, but I'm down.
I'm sure that they can actually fix that, but in terms of taking damage, I don't see why you wouldn't. Because even if, like, think about it just realistically. Yes, okay, I've got a prosthetic claw arm, and I'm using it to hold my sniper rifle. If you shoot that thing and you hit it, and it's no longer functional, that will affect me. So I'm sure I can. That to me is fair to take damage off of that. What is Zero Tuna? Here's
That's a good question.
What is one thing you would like to see added to BF5 that was never a part of past entries?
That's a very good question, dude.
You know how it's actually so good that I'm having a hard time racking my brain because there's so much different and so much new in this one, but I don't know what I think is missing. Aside from RSP.
I knew I almost said that, but that's too easy. Honestly, I brought mine up earlier. I would love to see squad lead voting or some kind of voting mechanic for squad leads.
No, it's not so much loaded. It's a good question. I'm racking my brain trying to think because I think we've been so stuck on absorbing what we know and what we've seen and what we're trying to figure out that I haven't thought too much about what's not there because I still want to see what is there. I know EA Play is going to give us a whole lot more to talk about and think about. I think if you ask me that question in 3 weeks, I will have an answer for you. I think by that point. I don't know, Necro, you got anything? Think something that's not been talked about or not in any other game, not in any other franchise or about a Battlefield game that you want in this one.
I don't even know. Like you said, with all the additions they've made to the game, the things they've adjusted in general, I mean, the game is looking to be very, very unique in the franchise.
Redguard, that is awesome. Vehicle comms. You get in a vehicle with non-squad mates, and you can communicate with those people. That's pretty cool. I don't think that's been in a not that I know has been in a Battlefield game. That would be interesting.
Proximity chat would be cool.
Oh God, to turn off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, if you're gonna try it in any Battlefield, this sounds like the Battlefield to try it in because they're having such a big onus on teamwork. It's gonna be a little slower paced. You have to have 6 brain cells to rub together to play it. I think if they're gonna, I mean, games like Squad, other large scale tactical games have been able to pull it off.
It's I'm usually a very optimistic person, but on this one I have to play the pessimist. Every game I've ever seen or played with proximity comms has just been a toxic nightmare. First example that comes to mind for me is H1Z1, between people saying China #1 and then blasting really annoying rap music, or Call of Duty where it's you're playing with a squad of people and it's just the same thing. My brother was part of this for the longest time. When we played Call of Duty Modern Warfare, he would just meow every 2 seconds into his headset just to annoy everybody. Imagine a 12-year-old squeaker just saying meow, meow over and over again for the entirety of the round. Back when muting wasn't really an option, so you just have to rip your headset off your head. So for me, proximity comms would just be turned right off. I've never had a good experience with it.
Yeah, no, you're right. Every game that I think I've played, PUBG being a really great example of the first game within I turned off all chat 100% in PUBG within the first 11 seconds of figuring out how to do it. Like that was it, and then it's never come back on. And I've had other people been like, "Well, you can't hear those guys talking." No, and I don't want to. I don't care.
The Joker, for your question for the Axis war story, no one really knows. The only war story they revealed in my memory was the Norwegian one with the black-haired lady there. I don't know any details. I don't know how many there's even going to be. There was 5 in Battlefield 1, if I remember right. I'd assume there'd be at least that in this one coming up.
Zero Tuna, it's 4. As of we know right now, it's 4.
Which is awesome. I'm glad
4
they made that
squad.
change. Then that change alone, well, first of all, 32 players on a team, do the math. That means you have 8 full squads and not a leftover squad of 2.
Good point.
And also that means if your squad's smart and you play well together, you hopefully have one of each class, or you're doubling up on an important class like support or medic. So I think 4 is perfect.
True story, A-Duel. That happened. I actually still have the clip. It's magic. Magic car ended up inside of a tower inside of PUBG, and they were with me. What else we got? What do you think about the new diving system, Mason? I don't know. Oh, yeah. We never actually talked about that, and I will say that I think it's pretty interesting. You can shoot while moving in any direction but up. So when you jump, you can't shoot until you hit the apex, but you can shoot all the way down. And when you're sliding, you're shooting. When you're dolphin diving, because I dolphin dive like I do all the time. They say you can't do it. I do it, but it's going to be a thing now. So while moving on the ground, on your back, while sliding, while turning, you can shoot. So that's a big change. And I don't know how I feel about it yet because I haven't seen it work out. Might actually be something that's super OP, and I just keep getting killed all the time from guys jumping off the roof. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully there's an accuracy, a detriment to accuracy.
There should be.
It's funny because they specifically nerfed sliding in Battlefield 1 because people complained about it, and they're just kind of bringing it back even stronger in this game. I am okay with it. I am confident in my ability to hit targets, but I do have concern over the movement and how many patches it's going to go through to slow certain things down or tone it down to where they have it set, after the crest of a jump, you'll be able to fire on your way down. Maybe they'll lower that to where you can only fire, after a couple, a certain amount of milliseconds after that crest or something like that to add a little bit more of a balance point to please people. I really, really do hope that it remains as is. I'm all for that type of movement because I can see people doing that in the real world. It's got to be possible after a little bit of training, getting used to it, and everyone going into these battles, you at least have the bare minimum of training, so they're going to know how to fire their weapons. But outside of that, I could see it being a big problem, and it does kind of scare me on that idea because I don't want to see, have this great freedom of range of movement and combat capability just for it to be severed at some point. I really, really dislike the slide nerf in Battlefield 1 because it was, it's part of my assault gameplay. Part of the reason I was able to get around the map as an assault player, getting close to people to gun them down with whatever I was using, range is a big deal with that class, and so that slide nerf really decimated assault gameplay in my eyes, and I really hope it doesn't happen again in this game.
Ready for EA Play to see it in action, Mickey? Me too, buddy. Cannot wait. Get my hands on some of that stuff. I just want to see it. I just got to see it. I got to play it. I got to shoot things. I got to feel it. I got to feel the pace. Because for me, like that's one thing that I know that I am super interested in, is with all of the squad tactics, with all of the new things that we can do in the game, with all of the change on the battlefield and how the mechanics work. How quick does the game move? I'm curious. I want to know how, like a 64 player conquest, how fast is it? And I think it's going to be a little slower, but I think it's going to be a lot more intense. It's my thought. That's what I think.
May mentioned a training grounds, some type of target practice, as well as a similar idea with a gun bench that was in Hardline, being able to customize things like right there, really get into the details of it, and also being able to fire off these weapons to practice recoil control and just kind of, knowing where to aim, where the best spot to aim is with every weapon to, go along with the recoil would be amazing. They didn't confirm or deny any of it, but it not being in Battlefield 1 outside of the Incursions client anyway, I don't have a whole lot of confidence that it'll be there. But I really do. It was in Battlefield 4. I really hope they bring it back. That for me, I'm always practicing. And I would love to be able to spend time in a Battlefield game instead of having to go play Rainbow Six Siege and use their terrorist hunt mode to kind of practice. I would love to be able to just do it right in Battlefield because that's my most played game. I would love to see it there.
All right. Final thoughts. We'll give it to Kickstand. Go Kickstand first, and then I'll go, and then we'll leave it with Necro. So Kickstand, what do you got? Final thoughts. BF5. Anything you got?
Pumped, and pumped. This is the most excited I've been, like I said, for not just a Battlefield game, but for any game in like 6 or 7 years. I'm very excited. If it almost feels like some of the hammerings that EA Dice took over the year that they've been developing on BF1, even though they didn't implement them in BF1, they're working on it for BF5. And I'm very excited. Super excited.
That was 4 pumped he gave.
Super pumped.
Like, right off the bat.
5.
And we know that he's 11 out of 5. We discovered that early on.
I'm 37 years old. I don't get excited a lot anymore. So the fact that I'm giddy again about a video game makes me very happy. So
it's either going to be Battlefield 5 or Blue Pills, right? I mean, so.
Oh, wow.
Low.
Too soon.
Too soon.
First it's the white hairs and the beard, and now it's the blue pill.
I like my white hairs and my beard. I just wish everybody else can see them because they might think I'm smart, have more wisdom. Final thoughts from me. I want to be real clear to everybody when I say this, and I've got a lot of folks that I'm responsible for taking care of in my community for Clan AOD. A lot of folks that I liaise with, all of my buddies and all the people on Twitter, my family that follows me on Facebook. But I want to be real clear with this one point. I'm not fanboying any of this hype. I am thousands of percents excited for this something so different. And I don't know what trailer anybody else watched, but I thought it was badass. Everything I saw was just the movements, the death scenes, the changing up of the classes, the call outs, the dynamicism that was taken. Is that a word? Is that a word? That
Is now.
that whole it is now hashtag. But everything that took place right there, I know it was a lot to take, but break it down. I've watched it so many times now, and put some music to it. Look at everybody's putting music to that thing. It is phenomenal. It's beautiful, and I can't wait to see what's coming next. It's not fanboying. I'm not some, guess what? If it's not a good game, who's not going to play it, right? I mean, that's the thing. So, but this is gonna be, and I'm super excited for it. Oh, by the way, caveat: anybody watching from EA or Dice, or if you ever get it, I still love you guys no matter what, and you guys are fantastic. So don't fire me from the Battlefield stream team. All right, Necro. Let's close out with Necro, and then we'll do our sign outs. Final thoughts. Battlefield 5.
Final thought is please fire Datey. Please.
I haven't started yet.
No. I also I'm very, very excited, but I am also very blunt and critical when it comes to the games I play. I refuse to be anything but honest because it's something that I am very passionate about. I spend large portions of my day playing video games, at least 5 hours, and at least 4 of those 5 hours are Battlefield every single day. Um, I I really I really hope that it's nothing but good taken out of everything that we've just discussed, even with the things that we didn't like or things that we would love to see that were taken away from us, like the RSP. It's nothing but love. It's just we're very passionate about what we do. We're very passionate about the games we play, and I hope that there's nothing but goodness taken out of this. Should anyone from EA and or Dice get their hands or their eyes on the podcast here that we're doing today, I really hope that it's all taken in a critical fashion, in a very positive light. It's nothing but love. We all are very into what you guys have made for us, and I'm very much so looking forward to spending more of my time on the future game coming out. And again, you guys have been doing a fantastic job. I believe the trailer, and for me, I loved it. I had chills the whole way through. I'm a very, very big fan, and I just cannot wait to become a bigger fan with this next release. Hashtag no fanboy involved.
Yeah, we love the franchise. We love the games. That's the way I would. I mean, you put it far more eloquently than I did. So, and by the way, EA and Dice and folks will see this, I'm sure, because we're gonna, I think, upload it to YouTube, right, Pun, and the VOD will be there for people to watch. And I'm sure we're gonna tag some really cool people that, like Jeff Braddock, that might want to take a listen to some of the things that we talked about. This is not the first podcast that anybody's done post the reveal, but there's a lot of stuff that we talked about. I loved getting all of the different perspectives from different, especially Necro being here and talking from a console and a PC gamer perspective, which is really, really, really awesome to have. You don't always get that. Pun and Kick and me are mostly PC guys, so we always have to we want to consider that. So it's a really great thing to have. I want to thank Punisher real quick too. We're not going to forget about the homeboy because he's the one pushing all the buttons and making all this stuff happen. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a podcast. So freaking awesome. I was told by my team on the Battlefeed podcast that I was able to do a plug, and I'll do it real quickly. This is Memorial Day weekend in North America, well, in America, and in the United States. I was about to say North America, but in the United States of America. I got two things to say about that. Number one, I'm a veteran. I'm a combat veteran. I'm a disabled veteran, and all those things. And I'm proud. I'm a retired sergeant first class. I'm proud of all of those things. But this weekend, on Monday, has nothing to do with me. It's for everybody else that didn't come home. So that doesn't mean that you can't appreciate veterans. This is Veterans Appreciation Month, and that's a really important point to make from me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm sure folks feel similarly, but that's from me. Second thing is, all weekend and all month long, I've been streaming for StackUp.org to raise money for veterans through a gaming little mentality here. Just talk real quickly about StackUp.org. It is a NATO nonprofit veterans organization that does some really great things involving gaming. We do air assaults where we send people to that wouldn't normally have the opportunity to go to E3 and EA Play and PAX West and all of the different things that are out there. Everything gaming nerdy that you can think of, Stack Up sends veterans to all the time. That is a phenomenal thing for me. They also send care packages, which I've actually been a recipient of. They're called supply crates, and they are full of consoles and games and swag, and we send them to vets that are deployed to combat zones. We send them to military hospitals where people were recovering, and we send them to people at home after service that might give them some great mental distraction. We've got a suicide prevention program that's pretty new called Stop. They've got a full Discord with all sorts of resources with trained individuals that can actually talk to people. If you've got a friend or you got somebody that that's experiencing some difficulties, having thoughts about hurting themselves, that is a fantastic place to go. You can always get in touch with me. I will put you in touch with somebody as fast as I can. But that's a great program. And then we also have our local stacks, which are chapters that people can hang out with. Stackup.org, I've been streaming for them on their stream team for about a year and 3 months. And right after this stream, I'm going to be streaming. I am raising money this month. All weekend long, I'll be streaming and raising money for Stack Up. So if you want to come watch me later on, if you want to come watch me tomorrow, you want to come watch me on Monday, I'm not going to solicit from you guys, but I'm certainly going to throw a link out there so you guys can take a look at it. That's it. Is that okay? I hope you guys don't hate me. I think it's good. Yep, Stop program. That's exactly what it's called, Fun. Memorial Day, guys. Really great weekend. Good time to reflect.
Yes. I went to go see Solo today, and they had this really good 3-minute commercial just talking about a fund they're doing for families affected by service members that have been lost. And they set a statistic that 465,000 Americans have lost their lives in the last century due to conflict. So that's huge. So great weekend to reflect, guys.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks everybody in chat on both for the Mixer side. I'm sorry I can't see the Mixer chat. I didn't have it up, and so I do apologize for that. But for all the folks that were in Twitch and hung out with us and listened to us complain and bitch about certain things, but also get really jazzed about some stuff, thank you very much to Necro, the artist formerly known as Necrosaurus Rex. It's never going to die with me. I love it, and sometimes I mess up and still say it. Thank you, brother, for being here. We really appreciate it. You're definitely one of the people that I have looked up to. In fact, Kickstand, Prophet, Necro. I mean, these are people that I look up to, and I really appreciate you guys. So, damn it, Necro, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here. Appreciate your person, your beard, and your perspective. Thank you again, Bunny.
Thank you for allowing me to rant and love and be part of your lives. I really appreciate the time, guys.
Awesome. All right, Kickstand, thank you very much once again. Next time, we definitely got to have the camera so we can see the beautiful beard. We need more beard. And I think Punisher, if we don't have a guest next time, Punisher will be back on stream and he'll be able to help us answer some questions. Guys, this has been a great third podcast. It went really long, but we had a lot of stuff to talk about. Thank you, everybody. And I think that we're good to sign out.